Once upon a time, in the quaint town of Hollowbrook, nestled between dark forests and ancient graveyards, Halloween was a highly anticipated event. Children and adults alike eagerly prepared their costumes and carved pumpkins, ready to celebrate the spooky night. But this particular Halloween, something sinister lurked in the shadows, waiting to unleash its malevolent presence on the unsuspecting residents. At the heart of Hollowbrook stood the eerie Hollowbrook Manor, an old mansion rumoured to be haunted by the spirits of its former inhabitants. It had been abandoned for decades, and its crumbling facade sent chills down the spines of all who dared approach. A group of adventurous teenagers, led by the daring but curious Emma, decided to venture into the haunted manor on Halloween night. Despite the chilling tales they had heard, they believed it was just a story designed to scare people away. They thought it would be a fun and thrilling way to spend their Halloween. As the moon rose high in the night sky, casting a pale glow over Hollowbrook, the group cautiously entered the creaking mansion. Inside, the air was thick with a suffocating aura of darkness. Cobwebs adorned the corners, and the dusty furniture appeared frozen in time. Emma led the group deeper into the mansion, eager to uncover its secrets. But as they explored the dimly lit rooms, strange occurrences began to transpire. Shadows danced on the walls, whispering voices echoed in their ears, and the temperature seemed to plummet. They brushed off the eerie sensations at first, attributing them to their imaginations. But as they reached the grand ballroom, they were met with a horrifying sight. In the center of the room, a spectral figure in a tattered ball gown and a porcelain mask floated eerily above the floor. Terror gripped their hearts, and they tried to flee, but the doors slammed shut, locking them inside. The ghostly figure glided closer, and they could feel an overwhelming malevolence emanating from it. "We are the lost souls of Hollowbrook Manor," the ghostly figure spoke, her voice hollow and filled with despair. "For years, we have yearned for release, but none have dared to face the horrors within." The group pleaded for mercy, promising to help the spirits find peace. The ghostly figure agreed, but with a sinister condition. They had to retrieve 5 cursed artifacts hidden throughout the mansion and perform a ritual to free the spirits. With no other choice, the teenagers embarked on a terrifying quest, each artifact leading them to darker and more perilous parts of the mansion. The spirits tormented them along the way, appearing as ghastly spectres and playing with their minds. Some of the teenagers were consumed by fear and vanished into the darkness, their fates unknown. As the remaining ones collected the final artifact, the mansion itself seemed to come alive, its walls groaning in agony. The air became dense with a malevolent force that sought to prevent the release of the spirits. With trembling hands, they completed the ritual, but it unleashed a torrent of malevolence, far more potent than they had imagined. The mansion shook violently, and the ghostly figure transformed into a monstrous entity, a vengeful spirit seeking to consume them all. In a desperate battle, they managed to weaken the spirit using the power of the artifacts. As the entity faded away, the spirits of Hollowbrook Manor were finally released, ascending into the afterlife, their souls at peace. Exhausted and traumatized, the survivors fled the mansion, vowing never to return. The horror of that Halloween night haunted them forever, serving as a chilling reminder that some stories are not merely tales, but grim realities lurking in the shadows of a town that had once been the setting for a night of terror.
In the quaint little town of Evervale, where the snow fell gently and the streets were adorned with twinkling lights, there existed a legend that sent shivers down the spines of the townspeople every Christmas Eve. The tale spoke of a vengeful spirit known as the Christmas Revenant, a tormented soul who returned each year to seek retribution for an ancient wrong. Long ago, in the days when the town was young, a man named Edward Sinclair ruled over Evervale with an iron fist. He was a cruel and heartless man, showing no mercy to those who dared to challenge his authority. One cold winter, on the night of Christmas Eve, a group of desperate townsfolk gathered in secret to plot against him. Their plan was to confront Sinclair and demand fair treatment and justice for their suffering. As the clock struck midnight, they made their way to his grand mansion, guided by the silvery moonlight that cast eerie shadows across the snowy ground. Unbeknownst to them, their actions had caught the attention of something darker and more sinister than they could have ever imagined. As the group approached the mansion, a chilling wind howled through the trees, and the atmosphere grew tense with foreboding. They knocked on the towering wooden doors, and Sinclair himself answered, his eyes filled with fury. The confrontation was heated and ended tragically. The enraged Sinclair unleashed his guards upon the gathering, and in the chaos that followed, blood was spilled on the pristine snow. One of the townsfolk, a woman named Eleanor, bore the brunt of Sinclair's wrath. She was struck down by his guards and left to die in the bitter cold, her last breath mingling with the snowflakes falling softly around her. As the years turned to decades, the Christmas Revenant's legend spread beyond Evervale's borders. Adventurers and paranormal enthusiasts from neighboring towns flocked to the cursed village, eager to experience the chilling phenomenon for themselves. However, none ever dared to stay until midnight, for the old legend warned that those who did would fall victim to the Revenant's wrath. One Christmas Eve, a daring investigator named Jonathan arrived in Evervale, determined to uncover the truth behind the legend. Armed with cameras and recording equipment, he braved the chilling air and the treacherous path that led to Sinclair's long-abandoned mansion. As the clock approached midnight, Jonathan's heart pounded in his chest, and a sense of unease washed over him. But he remained resolute, determined to capture evidence of the Revenant's existence. As the town's clock tower struck 12, Jonathan felt a bone-chilling presence envelop him, and he spotted a faint figure standing amid the swirling snow. The Christmas Revenant, cloaked in tattered garments, floated towards him with otherworldly grace. Jonathan's breath hitched, his camera trembling in his hands. He managed to snap a few pictures before a frigid gust of wind knocked him to the ground. His equipment scattered, and his surroundings blurred as fear took hold of him. In a ghostly whisper, the Revenant spoke, recounting the tragic tale of Eleanor and the injustice she endured. Her voice echoed with sorrow and anger, and Jonathan understood that she sought revenge against the descendants of Sinclair and those who perpetuated the cruelty she endured. Filled with empathy, Jonathan vowed to help the Revenant find peace and bring justice to the innocent souls who suffered. He delved into the town's archives, searching for long-buried truths about Sinclair's lineage and any surviving descendants. His quest led him to confront dark secrets and sinister truths, and with each revelation, the Revenant's power grew stronger. On the next Christmas Eve, the town of Evervale watched in awe as the Christmas Revenant and Jonathan, now allies in their pursuit of justice, confronted the descendants of Sinclair. The Revenant unleashed her fury, not with violence, but with haunting visions that showed the descendants the pain and suffering their ancestor had caused. The curse of the Christmas Revenant was finally lifted that fateful night, as the descendants acknowledged the truth and sought to make amends for the sins of the past. The Revenant, having found solace and resolution, vanished into the wintry night, leaving Evervale with a newfound sense of hope and redemption. The legend of the Christmas Revenant still lingered in the hearts of the townspeople, but now it served as a reminder of the consequences of cruelty and the power of redemption. And every Christmas Eve, the citizens of Evervale lit a candle in memory of Eleanor, the woman who became a symbol of justice, forgiveness, and the true meaning of Christmas.